Many of us understand that we should be doing some type of warm-up before doing a bout of exercise that not only prepares our joints and muscles to get ready for the bout of exercise we're getting ready to do, but to get our minds right to complete the task at hand. So when we're watching field sports on TV, such as football, baseball, basketball, and golf, you see a lot of athletes go through these motions, but when we go to the weight room, there's a lot of conflicting opinions and interests on how we should accomplish that if you even do a warm-up at all. So in today's video of Teddy's Teaching Tuesday, I'm going to go over potentiation warm-up and how to put them into your workout. So let's get to it. So before we do a potentiation warm-up with my groups, I try to do a small bout of mobility exercises. So this is anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes long, going through a series of body weight exercises that are just priming me to move better through a range of motion. Again, only 3 to 5 minutes, where a lot of people go over that and do too much of that work rather than getting real time work in to prepare themselves for what they're about to do. So once we're done with that, I do what's called a potentiation warm-up. So this is a series of exercises that not only mimic what I'm about to do, but they're also helping prime a lot of those weak and lagging muscles that don't necessarily want to work while we're doing our main lift. So when I do this, I purposely choose about 3 exercises for 4 sets of 25. So a lot of you watching may think that sounds a lot like the running warm-ups, and you're absolutely right, it is. The reason I kind of like still doing that is because I worked with him for 10 years where we implemented this in various seminars that we put on and the online coaching that I did with a lot of clients there. So now that I've been out on my own, I've kind of tweaked it a little bit into doing things that we typically wouldn't do over there. Now that I'm in my own space and really doing this a lot with other people. So the big thing that I kept the same is that the first movement is going to mimic the main movement. So for example, if we're doing a max effort lower day where we're emphasizing the squat, we're going to do a squat movement. So we would typically do the belt squat, which we still do, but I also like to do a lot of different movements such as belt squats, goblet squat, searcher squat, or something of that nature where I have to brace my core while doing this movement. So again, I'm still picking exercises that don't put a lot of compression on the spine and load my spine. I'm just doing things that are going to load my core a little bit more, so that way I'm better positioned when I do the back squat. And then the 2 exercises after that are going to be targeted towards weaknesses that I have in the squat. So for example, a big one that a lot of people have is the knees coming in on the way up on the squat, because either their adductors are too weak or their abductors are weak. So typically I start people off with seated hip abduction. So as you can see here, it's with a band around my knees and I'm just pushing out to the side as hard as I can. So after doing this for a lot of reps over time, not only does it grow in mass, but it also grows my motor pattern in that. So that way when I go into the squat, I'm more likely or more able to do that movement that I'm supposed to be doing in my major lift. So you may be looking at this and say, well, that's not really taxing. And that's the point. It's not supposed to be overly taxing. It's supposed to be a way for me to potentiate that muscle and get a little bit extra work capacity within that small muscle group in order to make big changes down the road. So the third exercise is going to be a very similar oriented exercise. So what I've been doing more of is more of a bracing. So we'll do an incline plank, we'll do rollouts with a TRX, rollouts with a little ab roller or something to that point. Or if you have another major weakness, we may be doing VMO step downs for sets of 10 each side instead of 20 because we're doing it unilaterally. So we're going to be doing it for sets of 10 each side to really make sure that they're up and running for the big lift we're getting ready to do. So 4 sets of 25, it sounds like a lot, and it is, but realistically it should only take you 8 to 10 minutes. So when I'm doing this on my own, I make sure I do it with equipment that I can get to readily, set after set after set without having to wait on it. So that way, not only does it increase, or does it allow me to spend more time on my main lift, but it also gets my conditioning up a little bit as well. So by no means am I saying this should replace your cardiovascular activity, but it does increase your work capacity and conditioning overall. So a personal story about that is, so when I first went to Wayne Strength and did the warm-ups going into my senior year of football at Capital, I noticed that my muscles were a lot more conditioned to do the tasks at hand. So for any of you defensive guys that have done pursuit drills, we would do it over and over and over again. And usually your legs are fried after doing several sprints like that. But because of those warm-ups, I was able to do those sprints with no problem. My muscles felt fine. Now my lungs, on the other hand, were struggling a little bit, but that was because I didn't take the proper training outside of our lifting to make sure my lungs were conditioned for that. So I hope you guys enjoyed this version of Teddy's Teaching Tuesday. If you want to learn more about potentiation warm-ups or how to put them in your strength training program, please visit the website agogeperformance.com and send me a message.